Okay, so now we're going to get into tips and tricks for your studies, right? First, we're going to start off with punctuality, right? You might have heard a few things about German punctuality. You know, exams, they usually begin sin tempore, which means on the hour, while lectures, study groups, and tutorials, they usually begin cum tempore, which means quarter past the full hour, right? Just make sure you're aware of that. Another thing is just find your tribe, right? Find like-minded individuals. Try to socialize a bit. Make full use of just university life. You can check out the Master's Students Roundtable. They're a great place to meet other Master's students. Otherwise, you know, there are plenty of social events, especially that you can take part in that are extracurricular, for example. Otherwise, another thing that is important is that hopefully by now you should have an idea of what you want to focus on, right? If you don't, check out the student advisory service. They'll be happy to help you. Maybe finding the right courses for what you want to specialize in, which is especially important for your thesis topic, right? Thesis topic has been an issue before with other students, so make sure you really get to know the topic that you want to write your thesis in, right? Partake in some lectures on the subject matter, especially by the professor that you want to especially make sure that you take the lectures of the professor that you want to write your thesis in. Right? Some lectures, some professors even require it to a certain extent, or really prefer that you have at least taken an introductory course in their subject matter. So just make sure you ask, make sure you're informed, so you save your time, save yourself time in the future. Now, ask questions, right? Always ask questions. You can ask fellow students, right? You can always feel free to use the ISIS forum function to just ask questions specific to a specific course. And if you have something that's a bit more confidential, feel free to write like teaching assistants, for example. Just make sure when you're writing an email that you don't just write urgent, right? Write a proper subject matter. Make sure you mention the subject that your the subject of your email, and a certain deadline or time frame that you'd like a reply by, so the addressee has an idea of when of how urgent your email really is. And just also make sure that you're polite. I get that there's a language barrier, but you know, faculty are people as well. So, which brings us to another thing. You can also use office hours to ask questions, right? You can almost everybody offers office hours, like tutors, teachers' assistants, and even professors. Just make sure some professors will require you to make an appointment. So make sure you're aware of that, and make sure you show up not on the last minute, right? Make sure you show up a bit early, so they have enough time to really answer your question in full, right? Otherwise, there are also advisory services if you have any other questions. Be self-aware, right? Before registering for your course, really make sure you ask yourself, do you really want to take this course, right? Minimize unnecessary stress by, you know, having a way too large workload that's unrealistic, you know. And if you register for exam, we can't emphasize this enough. Make sure you deregister for that exam early, right? Don't leave it to the last minute. You know, be aware of the deregistration due dates. Especially be aware that portfolio examinations are very, very hard to deregister from, right? And try to, you know, really find that study-life balance, right? Try to make use of the, you know, full use of the university life, you know, of the city, of all the other things you can do outside of your courses. Now, if you fall under any of these categories or anything similar, make sure that you're aware of the compensation that you are entitled to, right? Everybody should have a fair chance to partake in the university life. So just make sure that you're aware that you are entitled to certain compensation, right? So just be informed, take a look at this list. If you fall under it, get informed. Plagiarism. You know, citing things is a great feat. You should be proud of doing so. But when you cite something, please do it correctly. If you need to refamiliarize yourself with the proper citation methods, the university library actually offers courses to give you a refresher. So maybe check that out. And you know, be aware that plagiarism can lead to exmatriculation. So you know, just be aware of that and do so in your own regard, right? Yeah, so another thing is reading your study and examination regulations. If you don't necessarily want to follow the study and exam regulations, at least be familiar with it, right? You don't need to read the entire thing. It's not a novel, right? Check out the table of contents and read what is important to you, right? What is really required of you. And you'll be surprised that maybe some of the questions you may have are answered in the study and examination regulations. Yeah, especially if you want to break the rules, you at least need to be familiar with them. So, check it out. Now, another thing is, the current corona situation is always developing. Who knows how university life will look like in the next few weeks. So check out these links to really get the up-to-date information on university life and the corona situation. Unfortunately, the German versions are usually more complete or up-to-date, so check those out as well. Okay, that's it for now.